Welcome everyone to Precise 10.0 for SQL Server. I want to show you today how Precise works in the new 10.0 environment. My name is David Owen. I'm the product manager. So first of all, just want to log in and show you Precise. And this is the new Precise environment. You see, first of all, I'm on a Chrome tab, Chrome browser, and I no longer need to actually use Internet Explorer. This is the big new key thing to Precise in 10.0 is that we can run on both Chrome, Firefox, as well as running on Internet Explorer. So let's look at what we need to do in terms of logging on to Precise. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the URL that we log on to Precise. Previously in the past, you would have used a URL like this. And you can see that's got the server name and the port number. If I click on this in Chrome, it tells me that it's only currently supported on Internet Explorer 9 or higher. Okay. So what I need to do in order to make sure that I'm running this in Chrome or Firefox is I need to put the suffix of /precise in. And then that brings me to the login screen. So let's log in. And we're taken to the Precise applications. And here we can see the same applications as we can see in the old Internet Explorer version that was available in 9.9 and below. The applications we can see on the left-hand side, we've got different applications here. On the right-hand side, we've got the tiers and the instances. So let's just choose one of the applications. And I've chosen this one called Pond. And if I look on the right-hand side, it tells me what tiers I've got. So Web, SQL Server, and OS. Because we're only talking about SQL Server today, let's have a look at the SQL Server. So the first thing you see is we've got the SQL Server tier highlighted, we've got the instance there, and then we've got the information in the activity chart below showing all the events that are occurring in SQL Server. So let's launch Precise for SQL Server. And here you can see that we've got the dashboard. Okay, this is the same layout as we currently have in the existing 9.9 Precise application. We've tried to keep everything consistent, tried to keep everything the same in terms of the look and feel. So here on the left and within the dashboard, you can see we've got the number of instances, we show the executions, we show the availability. On the right-hand side, we've got the activity chart, which shows where the time is being spent in SQL Server. And then below that, we have the findings, which is obviously one of the key features of Precise, and that shows us exactly where the time is being spent. Okay, so we've got all the findings are color-coded as previously, and we're obviously able to sort of launch into Precise. So let's have a quick look at the activity chart. So we've chosen the activity chart. This is going to load the Precise activities and show us the databases that below it. So again, this is the same sort of thing that we saw before in the dashboard in terms of the look and feel. And then below that, we've got the databases. Okay, so you can see we've got the databases, they sorted in descending sequence. And then we've got the information to say where that time is actually being spent. Okay, so you can see obviously this Foundation Help Search Content database is the biggest consumer of SQL. And then we've got the percentage, number of sessions, what the average duration is, number of executions, etc. One thing that you will notice here with Precise 10.0 is that we have this little red box on most of the top columns. So if I click on that little red box, you notice I've got two things that actually pop up. First one is it shows me the columns, and you can see I can add or remove columns from that and change the look and feel of that. And then secondly, we've got the export to Precise custom portlet. So that is now there at each of the different columns. Previously, we used to have a little box here on the right-hand side, but that's no longer the case. Okay. So let's quickly dive into our database. So we're bringing up our database here. And then below that, we've got all the statements. So we, again, in Precise as we currently have, we have the ability to pick and choose what we want to see, whether we want to see programs, login, statements, work types, availability groups, availability replicas as well. That's one thing also to mention for 10.0 is availability groups is now a standard feature within Precise 10.0. So in the statements, you can see I've got here the top statements. Again, they're all sorted in descending order in terms of the amount of time spent in SQL Server. So this particular one I've got here is 85%. So if I click on Tune, this is going to take me to the SQL tab as we've previously done. And here we've got the execution plan, we've got the SQL text here in terms of the detail, and then below that we've actually got the findings. So the findings here again are there to help us to understand exactly what the sort of problems are with SQL statements. So if I click on the recommend tab here, let's see if we can identify any recommendations that Precise has made for you. And there we go. We've got the recommendations that have been identified. So we can see things like partition functions, partition scheme, create index, etc. Statistics is also identified there. And on the right-hand side, you notice as I click on one, it will actually show me the details of them. So if I click evaluate here now, that now runs under the covers and will bring back results of the evaluation. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to look at that particular set of recommendations and come back and tell us what the impact is. So we can see here we've got a pie chart to show us whether there's any decrease in cost for some of the SQL statements, and then below that we've got a list of the SQL statements that we've got. So this is exactly the same way as it's worked previously in 9.9 and below, but I think what you notice is things are a little bit quicker than they were before. So if I go back to activity, again, you can see here, if I drill down into my statements, or actually let's change that and look at programs. So if I drill down into programs, I can see which programs again are contributing the most to the time. Let's click on the program below that. And then again, it's going to tell me which statements. Okay, so we've got the list of statements here within that. So if I click on a statement, okay, it's going to tell me which batch it will belong to. Okay, so this is the batch name. And if I want to find out what login is actually using this, I'll just click on logins here. And it tells me this is the login ID. So I can check for this login. So if I want to now go back up and maybe try and have a look a bit more detailed at maybe some of the other statements, I can click here the pre button. So the pre button will take me to the previous. And you notice I've also got the next button here. So the next takes me back down to that particular login. So this is how we navigate back and forth now within Precise 10.0 using the pre and next buttons. So the pre is taking me to the statement. If I click pre again, it's taking me back to the program. And pre again, it will take me back to the instance. Okay. So that's some of the key features that we've got within Precise. Let's go back to the dashboard. And let's have a look at some of the findings. So let's just change the timescales here, just to sort of see what sort of times we've got. You've noticed now it's over 2 days. And we will sort of get information relevant to 2 days. So you notice now for each of the bar charts, they represent different time slice. So here they're in hour slots. Okay. Whereas if we were in the 8-hour window there, we would be in 15-minute time slices. So let's click on one of these findings here. Let's understand what it is. It says heavily accessed object. Okay, let's click on that. And this is going to take me to the Smart Tune. It's going to tell me some details about it. Okay. And we can sort of see what is going on there with that. So it's telling me the object is not scalable. Okay, so now let's go across to the admin point. So if we go to the admin point, again, you see it all looks exactly the same as we've got before. So I want to do now is just point out a couple of little minor differences that we've got here. So first of all, if I go to the installation tab, you notice that everything now is just application based. There's no longer anything that is specifically to do with instances anymore. So if I click on an application and I click edit, I get a little pop-up here, which basically tells me that it's going to open an APM instance installer.exe. Because Precise is a web browser application, we do occasionally need to execute some applications underneath that. And this is what is happening here. So if I click OK, and I'm going to open that APM instance installer, it's now going to bring up the installer executable for me. And there you can see we've got the application installer and it's exactly the same as we've got before. So it's showing me all the different tiers that belong to this particular application installer, and I can go in and I can go and edit it and change things around. Likewise, if I click on management, You notice I got action items, updates, and nodes. So let's click on updates. And here we've got all the latest details in terms of the updates. So if I click here in terms of apply updates, again, it's telling me that it's going to open that APM installer.exe. When you run Precise for the very first time in 10.0, you will have to download a new APM instance installer.exe. And clicking on this apply updates will do that download for you. And once that download's been run and you've run the application, it will then allow you to use the instance installer executable. And there you go. You can see that we've now got the instance installer application. It's working in exactly the same way as before. So if we wanted to do an upgrade, we click on the particular one that we want, apply it, and then go to the standard process in terms of doing the upgrade. So there we are. This is Precise 10.0 for SQL Server. I hope you find this useful. Please come back to the IDERA website for more videos in the future.